back to Fast Forward with Travis on my show. Yes, and Charlotte Roche. Last summer, I saw you in Baden-Baden. Do you remember playing there?
Yes.
This radio live show?
I remember in this tent we did this acoustic set. Remember we did that acoustic set, and the guy was like speaking total German, and we didn't understand a word he was saying, but everyone was laughing. They were all laughing. We were like, that what? What's he saying? What's he saying? And then we played the actual show later on, and it was great. It was a really good show. Enjoyed it.
I saw it, and you announced one song, and while you were announcing it, I can't remember what song it was. You were sort of telling the audience how important it is to be vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you believe that you can only write good songs if you're vulnerable?
I don't think it's anything to do with writing good songs, because I know vulnerable people who don't make any art or whatever. I think it's important to be vulnerable because people these days try and take control too much. They put up walls and they want to not be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you're vulnerable is a negative word nowadays. But if you look at children, how innocent and wonderful children are, the word vulnerable means something completely different. As an adult, you can't be vulnerable, which is rubbish. I think, people are afraid to drop their guards because they're going to get hooked in the face. They'll fall down on the ground. But sometimes, they might get knocked down on the ground and notice something quite beautiful lying on the ground, but they wouldn't have noticed had they not been hooked, And the thing is, we've got to, it's nothing to do with art or whatever. It's maybe just to do with feeling life, feeling alive.
Yeah, with just being alive and feeling less isolated. I think we've come to a point where everybody feels very isolated.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of reduced to a minority of one with your walls that you build up around you. And if you just pull down those walls a little, you might connect with one person or everybody else.
There's sort of talking about like walls and stuff. I've just realising in the last few months that there's lots of sort of macho music around. Sort of really quite aggressive stuff, especially from America.
I heard that band, the Bloodhound Gang.
Pardon?
The Bloodhound Gang, is it?
Yeah.
That band, that's unbelievable. That song, the Ballad of Chasey Lane or whatever.
Well,
I was like, oh my God.
but that is, the Bloodhound Gang is exactly the opposite of what I mean just now, because that is sort of going right over the top, and they're making fun of it. And I talked to them like 3 times already, and they're exactly the opposite of what people think.
Oh,
they're
brilliant, good.
Fucking intelligent, absolutely like entertainers. They're sick on each other on stage and stuff like that. Sort of
They
overdo this rock and roll thing until you can't believe it. You're sort of standing there in the front row and going, oh my God! And they're not homophobic at all or something. But what I mean, these rock bands from America now. There's this at the end of Why Does It Always Rain on Me? You touch Neil's bottom.
No, Dougie's bottom.
Oh, is it yours?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And so I always thought that is a lovely statement against sort of as sort of a statement against these bands that are only male and strong and aggressive. And
I think that if you look at any country, if you look at country and think about what they're putting out, the type of art they're putting out is very reflective of the time that country's going through.
Yeah.
It's like if you cut a country, it bleeds, and the blood is the art or whatever it's making, the films. You've got all this stuff coming out of America just now, which is really contradicting. You've got bands that are just like, they're really angry, and you've got American Beauty winning 5 Oscars, which is kind of it's interesting. I mean, I think music, film, it's all the same thing to me. Visual, oral, whatever it is, it's all the same. So I don't know. It would mean that maybe America are at a crossroads in their sort of thinking or whatever. I think it says a lot about Britain that a band like Travis stay in the top 5 for like 40 weeks, and people are going and getting that record. I think it says a lot about the people in Britain, that they're not really wanting to all this angry stuff or whatever. They're just wanting something that's gentle or whatever.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah. But I don't know.
It's much better that way.
But whatever it is, it's the more aggressive you become. I mean, aggression comes from fear, the world is afraid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We live in a world that's absolutely terrified, and I think television's got a lot to do with that because it plumbs this thing into people's homes. It's the most amazing invention. It's the most amazing invention for governments. Because if you try and control a mob, right, you can't control a mob. It's impossible. But the only way to control a mob is to put them in individual boxes with a little speaker telling them what to do.
So, yeah, like
telling them
a
what's...
room in a television.
Yeah, telling...
Keep
exactly.
in the house with the TV as instructions.
Yeah, and that's why we're all... That's why the world's in such a weird position at the moment.
If people actually spoke to each other, they'd be a lot more difficult to control.
Yeah. And we're encouraged not to speak to one another. Because if we speak to one another, then we'll find out that, well, wait a minute, that's wrong, you know. This Bill
and sort of things like we could do something about it, you know, because that's always when you feel on your own, you all the people think they can't do anything.
Well, the thing is, there's only two things you can do. You can either, this is in life, you can either say yes or no. Simple as that. There's nothing, that's the most proactive thing you can do. Either say yes to it or no to it. And anything else doesn't matter. So, I mean, if doing something about it, I mean, if somebody said, do that, and you go, no, they're like that, well, he's doing it, and you're like, and he's doing it, and the people are like, well, I'll do it then. But if everyone says, no, I'm not doing it, then that's when you've got a problem.
Then it's all together and really strong.
But then you'd have anarchy, and you don't want that. Well...
That's... Oh, sorry.
No.
Announcen Sie the next video.
Okay.
This next video is Travis with Why Does It Always Rain on Me, Of Course.
Sitting here with Douglas Plain from Travis, and I want to inquire about malicious mischief. Now, Dougie, you can tell us some more about that.
When I was about 15 years old, I was on holiday with some friends of mine in the north of Scotland. And one evening, for some reason, we decided to run over cars. Over the top of cars.
Over the bonnets and the...
Bonnets and roofs. And we ran the length of a street over these cars, thinking it was highly enjoyable, which it was. And unfortunately, one of my friends fell through the windscreen, or put his elbow through the windscreen of one of the cars. And so we ran away. And the next day, we were stopped by the police, and they looked at the soles of all of our shoes. And unfortunately, the soles of my Nike trainers had the most recognisable sole, so I was arrested for jumping over cars.
What was your punishment for this? Did your parents punish you?
I was grounded for 6 months.
Well, I don't think that was long enough.
Over the Christmas period.
Still not long enough.
And I had to pay a fine.
Did you learn your lesson?
I learnt my lesson and I never broke the law again.
Are you sorry?
I'm very sorry.
Are you guilty?
I'm guilty as fuck.
Justice has been done.
Because